In today's video, we're going to be reacting to the latest strange and more thought-provoking clips that I could find on TikTok. Let's get into it.
This could be happening in your house, and you would have no idea. We know about haunted houses when someone's died there or whatever may have happened, but your house could be haunted and you wouldn't even know. But it gets far worse than that, stick with me. Most people's houses, unless you live in a new build, are structurally quite old in one way or another. Whether there was another building there beforehand or you've had renovations, like structurally, it's probably quite old. At least the ground that it's built on. Recently, there's been a lot of people finding weird things inside their own home which they thought was perfectly safe. When you think of a haunted house, you think of some creepy-ass building where there was a murder scene or just something weird that went on. You don't normally think of your own house, but that is about to change. A lot of people recently have been reporting finding weird areas in their house, basements that they did not know existed, tunnels under their house, weird areas. Like, this is genuinely real. A lot of people have been reporting this, especially in the US. With how old the areas are in some places, you just would have no idea what actually happened there. So you could be living on top of an ancient burial ground or an old ritual devil worshipping spot, and you would have absolutely zero clue. A lot of people having ghost sightings recently, talking about like what they've seen and heard, then going back and looking at not just the history of their house, but the area the house was built and finding some pretty horrifying things.
I do not believe my house is haunted. It is a new home, one that's never been lived in before me and my wife, but the land on the other hand could very well be haunted. I have not yet experienced anything on the land, but the history that I know of was pretty rough. And also, you really never know because there's undocumented history as well. What happened on this land before it was even documented? All I know is I do not experience any paranormal activity where I currently live, and hopefully it stays that way.
The weather, climate all over the world is pretty intense right now, from Alaska to the severe deadly floodings that they are enduring, to Mexico with their floodings and earthquakes. Now we're heading over to the Philippines. The following footage comes from a couple of witnesses in Venezuela City. They recorded what appears to be seismic activity underneath their lake, and it's bubbling up as if something is going to erupt. Now we do know they are dealing with a potential eruption of one of the volcanoes. It's spewing ash and their country on alert. The question we need to ask: what is causing the major shift in our climate that it's affecting everybody? And what can we do about it? Take a look at this, comment below, tell me what you think.
Lakas! Ano kaya yan, no? Lo? Lo, tignan mo. Grabe. Anong nangyari? Ayan, no? Ay, malapit, oh. Ano yan? Ano yan? Grabe. Lo. Ay, ano? Parang... bukal? Ipo ba? Ipo ba sa tubig? Oo.
You know, when you live that close to volcanoes, seeing something like that has to be really scary. I looked into this, and they are saying scientists point to natural gas release, chemical reactions, or pressure from underground water or pipes. They do not believe it's from an earthquake or any volcanic activity. Kinda concerning if it's releasing some kind of natural gas. That could be pretty dangerous for the people around that area, but nonetheless, if you did not expect to see that, that would be very shocking.
This is actually massive. On October 13th of 2025, Lord Ashtar from Agartha was spotted at a random gas station in Arizona. And I'm sure that many of you guys have seen this image already. This is who it is, Lord Ashtar. And he's referred to numerous times in CIA documents to the point where the government has classified him as a real living alien from the Nordic white race. And they say that he's from the constellation of Pleiades, but what that actually means is they spawned in from that solar system and transferred their souls onto Earth, and they live at the North Pole with Hyperborea and Agartha. And you know, it's not that out of the ordinary for these tall Nordic aliens to come visit people. People have been encountering them for decades, going way back to the 1970s. These glowing people in all white with long hair will just show up to people's doorsteps wanting to speak with them once they have like a psychic connection with you or something. It's been going on for decades, so it's not that crazy for them to show up at a gas station where a lot of people's lowest points in life actually take place. So guys, share this with your friends. Let them know that there are two places we can go. We can go to the North Pole and visit the Agarthans at Hyperborea, or we can go to the South Pole and go past the ice wall, which might actually be a more dangerous journey. But if we go past Antarctica, we can go see all these other continents. So let me know, what do you guys think you'd rather go to?
In my neck of the woods, if you go to the gas station, there's plenty of Ashtars there. And they try to sell you things that'll definitely take you over the ice wall. Just be careful on your journey and who you run across. Hey, if you haven't done so already and you're enjoying the show, give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. I upload a video like this every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. And for everyone that's watching and or subscribed, thank you so much for supporting the channel. I will have to say, after yesterday's video where this guy was talking about, there's no chemtrails in the sky after the government shut down. After watching that video, on my way to work today, I was checking out the sky, and in a very common spot that always has two chemtrails going up beside each other. No chemtrails today. I'm going to keep my eye on it because the whole sky today was nice and clear, not a single cloud in the sky, and no chemtrails. So that's a pretty interesting theory, but I have seen some people in the comments of that video say that they still see chemtrails in their cities and places that they live. So it could be completely coincidental, and we'll see what it looks like after the government comes back up and running. But following up with yesterday's video, let me know in the comments if you've noticed any chemtrails or the lack thereof.
Yo, things are starting to get really weird, and this October, it might actually be really weird. I'm really starting to think so. We'll come right back to this thing. So do you remember that guy who profited and talked about the Trump situation before it happened? The bullet, the ear, that whole thing? Well, now he's saying that we are about to see UFOs going across the water. And while he says that, there's this girl who is watching some observatory with a 3-eye atlas, and it showed a whole bunch of ships or things moving with it, which again is supposed to be here on Hallows Eve, the day before Halloween. Let's start here. I'm gonna go ahead and say right off the bat, no offense, dude, I don't trust this guy at all. Yes, a whole bunch of things he said has totally happened. And I'm not saying he's a liar, false, or anything. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying there's a really weird energy about this whole thing. But so we'll start with this claim of the UFO coming.
Saw these major alien ships, and it flies over the Vatican, and it goes over the Mayan temples down in Mexico. And I said, Lord, is there two of these? Because I keep praying about this. And he said, no, it's just one. And that's what's going to make everybody freak out, because they're going to see it moving across the ocean. You understand? It's going to be something that's going to be on TV. It's going to move across the ocean, and people are going to freak out in the days ahead. Then,
so I'm pointing out two things real quick. The Bible does talk about prophets that are prophesying on behalf of Baal and other deities. And again, I'm not saying it is. I'm just being honest with y'all that I just don't trust him. Because there's an awful lot of corruption and an awful lot of things being covered up and hidden right now by people that are supposed to be heroes. But y'all will find I will not judge anybody's free will. We never know what's going to happen in the future, and we really don't know the grand scheme of everything going on. So now, this girl was talking about this observatory that she was watching, got information from somehow, and she saw all these different ships or things moving with 3-eye atlas. Now, I think it's important right here to mention, we just had that guy from Congress or somewhere talking about how there were aliens under the water. And what do you suppose is in the sky? The waters above? So clearly there's not a freaking spaceship coming to Earth. But it might appear like that for some reason, completely unrelated. Does that not look really weird to y'all? Especially the flip? Completely unrelated to this. Nowadays there is CGI that's so good it looks real, as well as AI. But this? Okay. I mean, I'm bewildered. Do y'all not see the things that this guy has flying in the sky? Look at it. Just look at it for 1 second. What does that look like? A spaceship, duh. Now this part's wild. We just happen to have, completely unrelated, the whole shutdown going on, right? So now we really can't receive information from NASA or any of these sources, or NASA, that are following all this 3-eye atlas stuff, right? Humorous. Y'all see the point that I'm getting to? Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna see some stuff soon, but it's not aliens. And it's also not just BB. People have to understand that in the BC, there were all kinds of hybrids walking on the earth. There are so many different classes of beings. We have demons, we have fallen angels, we have what the fallen angels are doing right now to mankind. I mean, really, what was actually going on beyond Plum Island? Think about it. In the grand scheme, there's so much crap going on that you have no idea how crazy it's going to be in totality. But I'll tell you one thing, it's going to be fun, and they can't stand the name Jesus.
Now, this may be a hot take, but under situations like this, I have a really hard time believing that someone actually received answers from God when they've prayed for them. We'll see whenever this 3-Eye Atlas stuff happens, if it happens, which I highly doubt, then that would mean that this guy would lose all credibility. There should be nothing that comes out of his mouth that you should ever believe ever again. He literally said that he received a message from God saying, no, only one, or the Lord is how he pronounced it. If that does not happen, this guy is straight up just a liar. And that's not okay in my opinion, because he's literally giving false information to the public. Like serious false information. At least that's the way I see it. Now, the scary thing is, if what he is saying does happen, then there could be two things. One, what he is saying is completely true and whoa. Or two, he could possibly be working for like the government and be a part of Project Bluebeam, and he's just here to make the scene seem more believable when it does happen. And as far as that rocket clip that he's shown, that looks clearly fake. I'm not certain where he's getting that video from or where it's from exactly, but overall, let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments, if you believe what that guy is saying, or if you do not believe in what he has to say.
People are claiming that the European Space Agency just classified data related to 3-Eye Atlas for 74 years. So what's really going on here? Is ESA hiding something? Most likely that's not the case, and I'll tell you why. So let's start with where this claim is coming from. This screenshot comes from ESA's official planetary science archive. It's the same system that stores Mars Express, Rosetta, and ExoMars data. And if you look at this release date, January 1st, 2099, those red lock icons mean that the files are not public yet, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're classified. And here's where the confusion most likely started. The Nomad instrument data shows 2099, 1 of 1. And the CASSIS instrument shows 2026, 403. The 2026 entries are normal. Those are real embargo dates, typically 6 months, sometimes 12, and it can vary a bit, but it depends on when the teams finish processing the data. But the 2099, that's probably not a real date. After some research and digging, it's typically a placeholder. It's a default that's used when the system doesn't yet know the actual release date. ESA does make their policy pretty clear. Data from missions like ExoMars or Mars Express are restricted for a few months, but not decades. And after that, everything gets released to the public through the ESA archive. And also, there doesn't seem to be an official document that specifically confirms a 74-year lock, and the 2099 date just means that the file hasn't been validated yet. So while it looks like ESA buried Comet 3-Eye Atlas data until the next century, it's really just a database that is probably being misread. Now, could it actually be classified for 74 years? I guess there's a chance, but for now, it looks like it's probably just a placeholder. If anyone else has any other input on this, please feel free to chime in.
I'm really surprised that they even put it in there in the first place before it even gets analyzed. Why put it in there with this temporary date waiting for it to be analyzed when you could just do that after it's been analyzed on a totally separate file and not to the public eye? Definitely not a clean way to do things in my opinion.
What is this spot over South America and why is it getting bigger? This is the South Atlantic anomaly and it's a weak spot in Earth's magnetic field. Our magnetic field is created by the motion of molten rock and metals, mostly in the outer core about 1,800 miles deep.
Or 69 Boston marathons.
That motion creates electrical currents, and that creates a magnetic field. It acts as our protective shield, and it's critical for life. Without it, radiation and solar winds would incinerate us. And we're not the only ones that have it. Jupiter's is huge. This is actually what it would look like if our eyes could see that sort of thing. Satellite images over the past 11 years are showing that for whatever reason, this area is getting weaker, which could leave low orbit craft like satellites and the ISS vulnerable. For once, it's not our fault.
No.
We may not know exactly what's happening beneath the surface, but we can follow some of the effects. Like instead of magnetic field lines coming out of the spot like everywhere else, they're going back into the core in what's called reverse flux patches. It's not just that area that's shifting. The field above Canada has also weakened a smidge, while over Siberia, it's gotten stronger. For now, it's mostly fine, but we are keeping an eye on it. And it's just another reason why we need space programs.
The conspiracy side of me says that there's ancient technology that's absorbing the electromagnetic field and dispersing it to other places on the planet. For what purposes, I would not know, but it is an interesting theory that's kind of running in my head right now. Let me know in the comments if you have any of your own.
The most haunted places in the whole of the UK, and this is Chillingham Castle. Located in Northumberland, Chillingham Castle has gained its reputation to being potentially the most haunted castle in England. Built in the 12th century, originally as a monastery, by the 13th, a castle was actually built on the grounds, and it became the home of King Edward III. Over the years, the castle has had its fair share of death and murder, and human bones still remain below the dungeon. There is said to be over 100 ghosts that linger the hallways at night, which haunts like no other. It is said that a curse was placed on the castle by a Spanish witch. The curse is said to protect the castle, but bring bad luck to those who harm it or take souvenirs. Over the years, people have actually returned items which they have taken with apology letters, even small things like stones, because upon returning home, a string of bad luck and paranormal activity would follow. Chillingham Castle is now one of the most popular paranormal hotspots in the UK, with investigation teams searching for a glimpse of the unknown, especially in King Edward's room, where the chandelier has been caught swinging away on its own. Voices and screams, shadows appearing, and people being physically scratched. Would you stay the night at Chillingham Castle?
If given the opportunity, I would definitely like to stay at one of these supposed haunted places. And if there was money involved where I could win money if I stayed a night, I would definitely do it. Haunted places, yeah, they look creepy, but really they don't scare me. The only thing that I would be afraid of is possibly cutting myself on something rusty, or just overall hurting myself and needing help. I would definitely be willing to see how scary it could really be. Let me know in the comments, have you ever stayed at a place that was supposedly haunted? Have you ever experienced the hauntings there? I've always found those kind of stories really fascinating.
Oxford researchers just confirmed what we feared. The internet, as we know it, is dying. Now that is the opening line of a post referencing this chart. It shows that for the first time ever, AI-generated news articles have now outnumbered those written by real humans. Only 5 years ago, this was near 100% human, 0% AI. But in 2022, when ChatGPT launched, everything changed. Now, as someone in the news space, this was pretty shocking, especially since the post then goes on to say that projections say 90% plus will be AI by next year. And to make it worse, quote, the real crisis is model collapse. When AI trains on AI-generated content, quality degrades like photocopying a photocopy, rare ideas disappear, everything converges into generic sameness. Sounds like some freaking dead internet theory type shit. So naturally, do some research, and turns out this wasn't from Oxford. Rather, an SEO company carrying out a study using AI to detect if an article was written by AI. Their own methodology says that many argue detecting AI is impossible, or at best, highly inaccurate. So that throws into question if this graph is even correct. But let's just say for a second it is. What the article also didn't include is the number of views each article had, because the total number of AI-written articles is meaningless if no one is reading them. But what about the crisis of model collapse we were warned of if AI is trained on AI? Well, I went back to the original post, and lo and behold, I found a human AI expert who was worked at Meta, Uber, Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, and he said, quote, model collapse is widely considered not a real problem. He then lists the reasons why and provided research to back up his claim. Bro, and at this point, I am baffled. Everything this post told me was sus, but then there's the kicker. I looked for who wrote it, and it wasn't a who. It's an it. Perplexity AI. Bro, how the hell is AI gonna fearmonger humans about AI. God damn. Here's the thing. Just when I was about to wage war against the machines, I remembered. When you get hit by a car, you don't blame the car, you blame the driver. AI is not killing the future. Humans are.
The internet is dying, or the dead internet theory, regardless of that study or chart being real or fake, it's been a topic that's been talked about for the past couple of years pretty consistently now. And I have my own thoughts and opinions about the dead internet theory. A lot of people right now are saying, you know, AI is just copying other people's stuff and it's just rinse and repeat. It's just the same stuff being used over and over and over again. And I definitely agree with that. As someone that likes to make AI content or makes AI content, I see a lot of the same stuff over and over and over again. And that definitely kills the vibe of watching content. Because when you have AI just rendering out the same video just slightly different every time, and you've seen it about 500 times, it gets old and it makes people less interested in whatever it is that they were watching or consuming. Now, I'm getting to the point of all this, but where I'm coming from is, take YouTube for example right now. There's hundreds of thousands, millions of users using YouTube, and there's equally just as many creators creating content. There's so many creators that are creating the same exact content. It's just not as fast as AI. YouTubers, they can copy content, but they can't just crank it out as fast if they want to have longer videos or videos that are interesting. And where this whole dead internet theory is coming from, take this video that you're watching, for example. I can almost guarantee you've seen some of these clips, if not all of these clips, by the time that you've already watched this video. This is probably not the first time that you've seen these clips that I'm reacting to. And when you do see those clips, you probably go, I've seen this one already, I'm gonna skip forward a little bit. And that makes you lose interest in the content. Totally understandable. And that's what makes you leave that content as well, because it's just the same stuff that you've seen over and over and over again with just slightly different variants to it. Because of the rapid production of AI slop, it makes people lose interest in the entertainment aspect of the internet. That's happening on the internet right now because so much information is being pushed online that's created by AI that people don't want to watch that. People don't want to see it. People do not want to engage with it because they've seen it, they've heard it a million times now. And that's pushing people away from the AI aspect of the internet, because the internet's still heavily used. There's just certain aspects of it that's used more than others. And a lot of these people that talk about dead internet theory are always talking about views and engagement towards certain things, because all the things that they point out that they say is losing views are crappy articles that no one really wants to read, or news stories that no one wants to watch. And most of it's titled and progressed through AI. So the people are going to go to other places to find what they want to find. And that may not be on the internet, or it may be on other aspects of the internet that's not statistically measured, because those measurements don't benefit the corporations that want all the money. Yeah, it kind of does push you away from the internet a little bit, or at least certain aspects of it. If you need to look something up to see how it needs to be done, more than likely you can find that information on the internet. And that's where the internet shines the best. But all these random news articles, silly YouTube reactors that just watch other people's content, and a whole bunch of AI generated videos just doesn't do it anymore. But let me know what you guys think about all this. That was a bit of a rant, sorry for that. But to end it all, I am very curious to see where the next 5 and 10 years go with this whole internet is dying thing, just to see what people are going to say next. But again, let me know your thoughts and theories about this. Alright guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end today's video. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching these clips with me. If today's your birthday, happy birthday, and if not, have a good day anyways.